If you're trying to get your ex back, there is one thing you need to do first, and that's to get you back. In the next 30 seconds, I'm gonna make your life a lot more simple, a lot more clear. It's not complicated. When you feel great, you speak great. When you feel great, you make different decisions. When you feel great, you become the kind of person people want to be and the kind of person people want to be around. But feeling great ain't a concept. It's not an idea. It's a skill. Even more accurately put, it's a conditioning. When you feel great, that is the crux, the fuel, the foundation to make everything come true. That is what shifts your relationships in your favor. But again, feeling great is a skill. It's a conditioning. Well, the only reasons why people go many years or decades without even addressing the core is very simple. Most people confuse times in their life where things are going their way. It's very easy to confuse times in your life where you're in Disney World or on vacation or everything's going your way. Just because you can feel good when things are going your way, that is not a skill. The real question is, can you still feel good when things are not going your way? Because the truth is, when your emotions get the better of you, that's exactly when you say and do things you should not be saying or doing. Contrary to popular belief, sometimes the grass is greener on the other side. So if you really want to change the trajectory of your relationship and really rebuild it from the ashes, you first have to get you back. People respond in accordance to the version of you bring to the table. If you get yourself feeling good, you'll start speaking differently, making different decisions, and you'll actually become the kind of person that people want to fight for. Super simple. Address the emotional core, your relationships and your life will turn around. Go to refocusonhappiness.com. What you want to do is you want to click the button at the top, contact Lance. Very, very easy form. When you go there, you'll see you put your name, your last name, your email address, and your phone number. And I will get in touch with you in just a few days, okay? Just be a little patient. I got a lot of people I work with, but I'll get in touch with you in 72 hours maximum. But after you do that contact Lance link, feel free to scroll around here. Again, Steve Martin has a great phrase. He says, be so good at what you do, people cannot ignore you. If you scroll down, you'll see testimonials from psychologists, doctors, zillions and zillions and zillions of past clients, including medical directors, et cetera, et cetera. So like I said, I'm making this so obvious for you, what I represent for you, what I believe. The only reason you would not do this is if you're a glutton for punishment. So yeah, feel free to take a good look around. Again, I'm gonna make it very clear what I represent for you if this is something you're serious about, okay? Awesome. Look forward to speaking to you soon.
I'm feeling excellent. Despite what's going on in the world and the economy and all that other baloney stuff, I can choose my own happiness, right? And I feel
That's
great.
Exactly right. That's your power. That's your choice.
I can speak from personal experience. Years ago, after my divorce, I went to see a therapist. I don't remember if I think she was a psychiatrist, actually. And I was in a very busy job at the time in New York City, and I would walk to see her, and it was expensive. I forget how much it was, even though I had insurance. And it did nothing for me. Right. Seeing her once a week did nothing for me. Years later, I was dating somebody who later became a fiance. She was my post-divorce fiance. And we were going to couples therapy. And that did nothing for me. All we kept doing is talking about the same problems over and over and over. Talking, cementing the bad stuff. And it did nothing for me. Nothing helped until I started working with you. Well, there was a couple things that were going on at the time. So I think by the time you and I spoke, it was probably February. And I had broken up with the girl in August, which was a 3.5-year relationship. I thought I was going to marry that one. Other things were happening. My job had been cut. I had become a self-employed person. I was considering getting a job instead of being self-employed. And I'd already hit rock bottom. I'd already decided to myself, okay, I'm done with the self-wallow. I'm done with the self-pity. And part of it was your self-confidence as well, your confidence in your abilities, your program, your expertise, your testimonials. Part of it was how you knew you can get me from point A to point B in X amount of time. And part of it was me saying to myself, look, I can delay this. I can prolong it. I can say I'm going to do a little bit now and a little bit later. But honestly, if I was going to go that path, that's how I was showing up already in life. And I didn't want to have the same. I started to know within the first 2 days. Certainly within the first week. I mean, the first week, it was the hardest to make some of the changes. But the first week, you immediately know you're getting results. Mm-hmm. Immediately. And certainly the first 2 weeks, like you said, the first 2 weeks, I looked back. I even went back and looked at some of my notes. I'm like, wow, it's impressive how much stuff occurred physiologically and mentally and emotionally in those first 2 weeks. It was really a game changer. Well, I remember it was one particular day I was doing my daily practice in the morning. And I was so pumped up after doing my daily practice. I did like an hour and a half workout, weight training workout right after that. Later that day, it just set the tone for the rest of the day. But later in the day, I had heard from my ex, and it was one of those messages that I knew was meant to kind of goat me into a response. That mental prison, I am let out of that mental prison. I am no longer controlled by the emotional response of those type of messages.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, that's it. I don't need it anymore. Like, just go on. And I felt like I was freed out of prison that day. I felt like it no longer had power over me. And I continued to have a really good day. I think I made a couple great sales in my job that day, for my career. And it was important for me to realize that I'm the one who chooses how I can react. I'm the one who chooses how I can feel. I'm the one who can choose from 2 minutes to 2 minutes later of how I'm going to be that day. And because I can control that, and because I can create that happiness, I was no longer under the thumb of anybody else. It was wonderful. It's amazing, like you said, I'm not just Kevin 2.0, I'm Kevin 5.0. And when we were going through this training, because there was that event happening, it felt like Rocky or Drago training for the big boxing match, because that event was happening during my time with you. And I was training for that event. I was training mentally and emotionally for that event. Like, that was my big match. And
and you did well.
I did. And then, I showed up there. I came out of that event with a renewed sense of purpose and drive, knowing what I know now and being the way I feel now. I feel almost invincible. I feel almost bulletproof. Like, yeah, is there something that may get me down for a second? Sure, but not for more than 2 minutes. I feel wonderful knowing that, I can now show up somewhere and be in control of my thoughts, my patterns, my habits, my attitude. And if I go resume with this person in a deeper level, it's on my choice. It's my terms, it's not a reaction. It's being proactive. It's very cool. It's very cool. Matter of fact, you may remember through some of my feedback that I was dating a few different people during the program. I much let most of them go because I made the choice, instead of being dependent or codependent or trying to search for happiness in a relationship with somebody else. I said, screw it. I'm going to choose what's best for me. I'm going to choose what serves me. And if it doesn't serve me, I'm going to let it go. And I did just that. So, it's really empowering to know that I have that ability and that skill and that conditioning to do that. I would say by my choice, within the next year, I'll be engaged because I choose to be.
All right.
And that's a big statement. Because
I love it.
That's a big statement because I got divorced 10 years ago. And I never thought I would get married again. And I'm saying this because, I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what I don't want. I know exactly what I'll put up with. And I know exactly what I will cut off if it's not serving me. So, in the next few years, by my choice, I would choose to be engaged. I would choose to be married. It's not for kids or anything like that because I already have children. And it's not for being lonely because I've already proven to myself, if I don't want to be lonely, I can go out and date at will. It's not hard anymore. Also, if I want to be by myself, I can choose to be by myself and be happy. Whereas in the past, my past self would be alone and sad and depressed. And I'm no longer alone, sad, and depressed by myself. I enjoy being with myself.
It's great.
I enjoy having that time to recharge. So it's the prospects for the future look really good because I choose for them to look really good. In my professional life, I deal with about, let's say, 20 clients. And 2 of those clients represent about 50% of my income. So those top 2 clients are really important to me. One of those clients was being pretty disrespectful to me, I don't know, just a few weeks ago. And because we're connected on social media and email and text messages and all these sorts of things to place orders, I've actually flown to see this person several times a year to service the client. He was pretty disrespectful to me. And he's new in his position. He's a new manager, young guy. I pretty much put him in his place. In my past, I would have been groveling for orders. I would have been saying, oh, yes, whatever you want, I'll do, bend over backwards. Not anymore. I don't want to say I fired my best customer, but I put the boundaries up. I was disciplined with him enough to say, listen, you're not going to talk to me that way. I have done X, Y, and Z. And I said, this is how our professional relationship is going to be. Like it or leave it. I don't need you, right? Rather than being a slave to him in terms of a business relationship. Guess what? He responded and has actually placed more orders in the last 30 days than he did in the past 6 months. So he's noticed, and his coworker, who also texted me, noticed, and they respect me a lot more because I put my foot down. I'm not going to be bullied by some customer who, just because he knows he's a good customer of mine, I can go out and I can replace him like that. I don't need to rely on that customer or a relationship to make me happy. So it's transcended business and relationships, personal and business relationships. And they get it. Matter of fact, so much they got it that my vice president of that company, independent, my vice president flew down there and they pretty much set the record straight saying, okay, this is the way the relationship's going to be. And professionally, it's actually better now than it's ever been.